From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Wow Report. We're counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. Yeah. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. Joined Tom Campbell. You're back. Where have you been?
I'm back. I had a little finger surgery, and I've been very busy working on some secret projects, but I'm alive and well. It's good to be back.
I have a great finger story for later in the show.
Oh, I bet you
Stay tuned.
And Jane St. James, legendary editor of the Wow Report.
I was just fingered myself.
You were fingering yourself?
I was fingering myself, yeah.
And no fingers here. Michelle Visage, the legendary Michelle Visage from RuPaul's Drag Race. But we're celebrating you today because see you next Tuesday. Tuesday is the launch of your show.
Yes.
How's your head done?
How's your head, hon?
How did you come up with that title, Michelle?
Oh, well, a little birdie had dropped on my shoulder for the past 30 years and figured, why the hell not?
It's an oldie but goodie, right?
If it's good enough for Elvira, it's good enough for me.
All right, so we'll start the countdown, and we'll start with you, Michelle, at number 10.
Really?
How's your head on?
Number 10.
I have to tell a behind-the-scenes secret, which is Michelle. For those of you watching on YouTube or just listening, Michelle put on some false eyelash extensions that are causing her. She's blind right now. She can't see. She's tearing up at every moment. But the show still must go on. That's why I love Michelle Visage.
The show absolutely always must go on. But at the end of the day, my eyes are burning and I can't see. So I just scheduled an appointment with the company. By the way, they're supposed to last for 10 days. So I got really excited and I thought, well, I don't have to put lashes on for at least 10 days. And I'm having the worst reaction to the glue and I can't open my eyes. But how's your head, hon? What you asked me questions. What do you want to know about it? Be the press.
Okay, so it's starting on BBC 3 on Tuesday and also simultaneously on WOWPresents Plus. It is you on lockdown in your house, lovely husband, and who else? Who's in the show?
As you can see, everybody kind of wandering about. It's my husband, it's myself, it's my daughter Lola and her boyfriend Dylan, which was crazy because I was in London and I hadn't even met Dylan when I talked to Lola and she's like, this is happening. And I know that she was like, I don't want to not see my boyfriend. And I wasn't going to let her go in and out of my house. And I'd never met the chap. But I thought, if you're going to do this and we're going to do this, then we have to be on lockdown. And there's going to be rules. But she is 18 and I'm not stupid.
What's the bedroom layout at your house, Michelle?
Right. See, it's our room on one end of the hall and then 3 rooms on the other end. So
that's
Lily's room, Lily's at college, so she doesn't count.
Wait, but Lily, hold on. Lily is in lockdown at college?
Lily is in lockdown in Portland. So when her college closed down, we had to scurry and rent her an apartment.
Oh, wow.
So she's there with 2 roommates. And that's interesting in and of itself because she lived alone and now she has roommates. And
you have to meet your roommates just as you get locked down with them. I imagine that's pretty intense.
She walked down with 2 of her best friends, but at the same time, she'd never lived with them. So
it's a whole different ball game.
It sure is. I tried
the reality show, right? It's like you're locking down with people you've never met before and you got to get on with them for an indefinite amount of time.
Exactly. And
it's the real world with Michelle Visage.
It is the real world. And in this situation, there's a we call it the hoe room, not for the reasons you think. Hoe meaning hang out. So it's a hangout room between Lola and Lily's room. But the hoe room is connected to Lola's bedroom. And Dylan is staying in the hoe room, but there's a Jack and Jill bathroom that goes through. So
probably more jacking than Dylan.
You know what I mean?
Now, Michelle, is it fair to say, because I haven't seen your show, but I love it. I just want to say that right off the bat.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your support.
Show. But I'm told it's kind of like the Osbournes meet the talk show. Is that fair? Is that a fair comparison?
Definitely fair. And it's definitely the anti-Kardashian. And it's because, I'm in a house and shit's everywhere. And I don't have a West Wing or a guest house. I'm a renter. So there's all that. And we're kind of, more like the Osbournes, keeping it real, showing you like it really is. This is what we're doing. And then there's a talk show element of me interviewing my famous friends or people that I know or respect or love or want to get to know.
Can you give us a few hints? Can you drop a few names?
Oh, Fenton, you do that because I'm not going to get in trouble because they have.
Oh, no, you can name all the names. You can Joel McHale, right? For example, Alan Carr, for example. Who else?
Wait, I thought you guys didn't get along with Joe McHale.
Well, that's the illusion. That's what people think. We're actually friends. People also think that I hate Ross Matthews, and that's not the case.
Everybody hates Ross Matthews.
We're all friends. So I talk to, I check in with a lot of great people, both British and American. Jade from Little Mix and Dr. Ranj over there.
Oh, Dr. Ranj, I love him. He's only really known in the UK, right? But he's a breakout star.
He's just lovely.
A hot gay doctor. Where's he from, Dr. Ranj?
He's from the UK.
Yeah.
He's just this really camp doctor who is like he's like a camp Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Like he goes on the shows to do all the medical stuff, yet he's really camp and he did Strictly also, and we're just
that's how you know him.
We're just fast friends, and I adore him. But there's a lot of fun people checking in. I check in with Celeste Barber, who's my Australian friend. There's just a lot of fun, and I want to see how people are doing. Mark Jacobs.
You throw a prom for Lily and
Lola,
and we're going to do a big gay pride event.
Look at Fenton's just spilling all the tea, so I can't.
Michelle's life is a big gay pride event.
It is.
I just want to explain. The show's called "How's Your Head, Hun?"
Yes.
Right? And "How's Your Head?" Just for people who don't know, we use it all the time on Drag Race. RuPaul asks everybody, "How's your head?" Michelle, and they're supposed to answer, "Michelle, how's your head?"
Oh, haven't had any complaints.
I mean, come on. And that's from an Elvira movie, right?
Yeah. So when they do answer correctly, I get very excited. And by the way, obviously it's a play, it's a double entendre because mental states are very much affected by this quarantine situation. So when I ask them, some say, haven't had any complaints. Some actually tell me how they're doing. And both are acceptable.
It's a great code among friends to know if you're inside or not. Like, how's your head, James?
Yeah, exactly. How's your head,
James?
And how do you
Well,
it's been a while.
you're right.
how do you sign off each show, Michelle?
See you next Tuesday.
Naughty girl.
Well, we get it in where we can fit it in.
I love a pun. I love anything dirty.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, stay with us. We're going to move on to James number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9, I'm going to bring it down just a little bit because I started watching a show on HBO called I Know This Much Is True. And it stars Mark Ruffalo as twins. And one of the twins is suffering from schizophrenia. And he's always sort of taken care of the twin. And the twin is sort of in and out of institutions. And sometimes he's at home. It's if you are suffering from mental health issues, if you're suffering from depression, I don't think this is the time to be watching this show because it's dark. It is relentlessly grim. It is upsetting. It is sad. It is I mean, hell, literally, to get through. But Mark Ruffalo's performance is just astonishing. And it's going to be remembered at Emmy time, definitely. It is that good. It is probably the best role he's ever had in his life. It also stars Melissa Leo, who is just breathtaking and brilliant. It stars Juliette Lewis in one of the best roles of her career ever, and that's saying something. It also has Imogen Poots, Catherine Hahn, Rosie O'Donnell is in it. It's a really crazy cast. It's set in the 1980s. It's based on a book by Wally Lamb, who wrote She's Come Undone, which was a big Oprah book, if you remember. The first episode, there's only been 2 episodes so far. The first episode, his mother is diagnosed with cancer. She doesn't have much long to live. His stepfather is abusive. the boy with schizophrenia goes into a library and goes a little bananas, and he chops his arm off.
Oh,
And there's a bunch of fallout from that, and he ends up sort of being institutionalized again because of it. That's just the first episode, and it just, I mean, from there it's gonna get very, very dark very, very fast. But like I said, it is spectacular, and it's something to keep on your back burner.
Oh, you had me at Catherine Hahn.
Right?
James, the big thing that I haven't seen it, and based on how dark it is, I may not, just because I'm a tender flower.
Right.
But the amazing thing with Mark Ruffalo is that he performed the twin parts like months apart, and doesn't he like have a huge physical transformation? Doesn't he look like
no, he's Mark Ruffalo as the one twin, but the other twin is slightly overweight and just disheveled. And I mean, really, really, the difference is striking between the two. And I didn't know that, but it totally makes sense that they had to film months apart.
So I could play the other twin.
I think James and I could play twins here in this scenario.
That's amazing. I freaking love Mark Ruffalo. I love Catherine Hahn.
So handsome.
There's so much on that note. There is so much freaking content right now. Yeah. I cannot in any way keep up.
Well, I'm also I'm starting to get to a point where if I never watch another TV show again, it'll be too soon, because I feel like all I do is binge watch anymore.
Yep.
Well, maybe in 6 months there'll be no new TV and you can watch it all.
Not funny.
But this is a good time to be reading a book, James. I thought, like, look at them all behind you. I thought you'd be reading.
Actually, I am. I went through a long period where I wasn't reading anymore, and now I've started downloading. On my Kindle, I just have like 40 books that I got this past month that I am just diving into. I'm very excited. So I am reading more than I usually do. And we just lost Fenton.
Well, I just want to say on that note, I don't know if it's on the list. I don't think it is. But I watched a miniseries called Unorthodox. And it's so freaking good on Netflix. It's only 4-part series. But you were talking about, awards season, Emmy season. Shira Haas, the girl who plays the lead in it, is mind-blowing. Amazing. So put that in there with the Emmy season kind of thinking.
Unorthodox. Okay, I will.
And review it later, yes.
Based on a book about a woman who's kind of getting out of her Hasidic ultra-Orthodox. We always see them, and I don't ever like to think that one religion's viewed one way. I don't want people to think that all Jewish people are. It's the ultra-Orthodox people who live, like ultra any religion live differently. So she is kind of rebuking and trying to leave her ultra-Orthodox ways, but her performance is phenomenal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's Unorthodox on Netflix, right? And I know this is on HBO. Let's go on to number 8. Tom.
Number 8.
Guys, there's so many celebrities that we know and love and we grew up with, and they just seem to be passing it at an alarming rate. 3 that I wanted us to talk about are the amazing Little Richard, iconic. The equally amazing to me in a different weird way, but Phyllis George, Miss America 1971.
I love Phyllis George.
There's probably 4 Miss Americas I can name: Lee Merriweather, Marianne Mobley, Phyllis George, and Vanessa Williams. And she was a pioneer in many ways, which we take for granted. And last but not least, Fred Willard passed.
Oh.
And Fred Willard is someone who you feel like has been in every chapter of your life and all of your favorite movies and all of your favorite television. And I can't imagine a world without him. It's hard to believe.
Did he get his start on what was the Mary Hartman?
Fernwood Tonight.
Was it Fernwood Tonight?
Brilliant show.
Yes, and I always remember him on there was a talk show, or there was a game show, and it was hosted by Bert Convy, and there was the bananas, the red, the blue. What was that?
Tattletales.
I seem to remember him from that too. He seems like he was always in my life. Yeah,
so brilliant.
I would say he was part of that 70s counterculture, anti-establishment, sarcastic humor that defined my teens. Letterman, early Saturday Night Live, and you know, other people got old. Fred Willard just was always there. He's most recently on Modern Family. He was on Roseanne. I think he married Martin Mull. They brought them back as like a gay couple.
Fernwood Tonight.
Fernwood Tonight. All of the Best in Show.
Waiting for Guffman. Yes, all of those.
And more. And it's just amazing. Now, Phyllis George, I was Googling, and like I miss her 1971 Miss America hair so bad, where there was a poof and it was really long. And you know, she went on to co-host an NFL show, a first woman ever to be a sportscaster, which is hard to believe today that was revolutionary, but it was.
Yeah, no, it was.
And she was on the CBS morning show infamously. There's a Golden Girls episode, a famous one, because she was on for like 9 months. She says, as I was reading about her obituary, she wasn't used well, and she was kind of just an ornament. And there was some moment where like Beatrice Arthur, where what's her name? Dorothy. Is breaking up with someone, is so upset, and like Blanche goes, "Are you upset about the boyfriend?" She goes, "No, I'm upset about Phyllis George leaving morning television." And Phyllis George's daughter, now I forget her name, but she's a CNN a White House correspondent.
And how handsome is that son that you've been seeing? Yeah. Oh, good. He's been on a lot of talk shows and everything, or being interviewed. Just the whole family is just beautiful. Yeah. And you forget that Phyllis George was also the first lady of Kentucky for many years.
Thank you.
And then I remember her, she was always in like Susie's column in New York. She was sort of very much on the scene in uptown New York.
And she was briefly married to Robert Evans, the producer.
Oh, wow.
Trivia there, yes.
He was fabulous, Robert Evans.
And last but not least, Little Richard. Again, someone when I was listening to his music all weekend, you know, all the songs are 2 minutes long, and you play them, and it's like they always existed. Like they are part of your heartbeat, part of
fabric.
I think that's really interesting, because I thought Little Richard never died. It's just not possible to imagine.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, a world without Little
Talk
Richard.
about gender bending.
Yes.
Out and proud, you know, and just, you know.
But was he out and proud?
No, he wasn't out originally because he couldn't be out originally, but he was always unabashedly him.
Yes, exactly. In the time, he did not hide anything, I don't think. And he went on to be a preacher. I just think, and he always took credit for, you know, starting rock and roll, which he did. And so often, you know, someone said that Elvis popularized rock and roll, that Chuck Berry did a lot, but Little Richard was the architect. Like he created the spirit of it. And it's amazing that he's gone. It's so much fun to just go to Apple or Spotify, wherever you do, and just put in Little Richard and listen to his songs. You will rock and roll all day long.
Agreed.
And none of these losses are from COVID, right? That's
amazing.
Nope. Thank God.
Let's take a quick break. Hey, before we go to the break, it's the reunion tonight, right?
RuPaul's Drag Race season 12, maybe the best season ever. A remote reunion from home because of COVID. You know, it do take nerve to flatten the curve, and so all the queens are at home and doing their best to give you an amazing reunion, a heartfelt reunion for the best season ever of RuPaul's Drag Race.
And then next week will be the finale.
Yes, also brought remotely from home, safety rules in place. These queens are going out of they're having to light themselves and build the sets in their apartments.
Please, these queens know how to light themselves at this point. I have no doubt that everyone will look flawless.
You try to lip sync in your 1-bedroom apartment. You try it, okay?
Oh, and there goes Fenton.
June 5th, All Stars Season 6, which is also pretty incredible. Comes to VH1. All right, Blake, you got a question?
I do. It's about Michelle Visage. So, Seduction, her band, went to number 2 in 1990 with Two to Make It Right. Who held them from the number 1 spot for 2 weeks?
Michelle has no memory of this period, so you just
none at all. I'm not bitter.
You're listening to WOW Radio, and we'll be right back after the break.
It takes 2 to make a thing go right.
Wrong.
It takes 2 to make it out of... Okay.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the WOW Report. I'm Fenton here with James St. James, Tom Campbell, and the legendary Michelle Visage, host of her own show, How's You Done? coming to BBC Three and WOWPresents Plus next
How's
Tuesday.
your head, hun?
That's right.
I've had no complaints.
Good.
Blake, you have a question for us about Michelle Visage, I believe.
Yes. In 1990, Michelle's band Seduction went all the way to number 2 with Two to Make It Right. But who held her from the number 1 spot for 2 weeks?
I'm going to say it could. What? Nirvana? I'm going to say Ace of Base.
I'm going to say Madonna's Vogue.
I'm going to tell you the answer.
Yes.
It was a friggin' animated cat called MC Scat Cat and Paula Abdul with Opposites Attract.
Well, not a bad thing to be held back by. I mean, that's a classic song.
No, it is. We were poised for number 1, number 2 with a bullet. The label A&M Records was so excited. And then Paula drops Opposites Attract and it debuts at number 1 and sits there and refuses to move.
That was a fun video, I got to say. Although, if you haven't seen Michelle Blonde, you need to Google right now. It takes 2 to make a thing go right. Seduction to see a blonde Michelle Visage.
Yeah.
Serving.
All right, let's carry on counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. We've reached number 7. Tom.
Number 7.
This can be short and sweet, but I want to, if you haven't already seen it, Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, who wrote the music for Hairspray and as well as Smash, which I'm going to be watching soon, they got all of their friends together and they know everybody in Broadway, and they got the original cast members of Hairspray, which is now 15 years old, which is amazing.
Wow.
And we did, one of these incredible global viral videos, everybody from home, singing and dancing to the closing number of Hairspray, which is maybe one of the best, the most feel-good songs ever written, You Can't Stop the Beat. And
you can't stop the motion of the ocean and the beat of your heart. Do.
It has everybody, it has, the fabulous Ricky Lake, created the role.
Have all the Tracys?
Yeah,
they have Marissa Jarrett
in the movie, not without the musical, and then of course Marissa Jo Winokur, and then the one who did
and
the movie.
Nikki Monty. Nikki is doing it too.
Yes.
And
so it's just this incredible. It's like 4 or 5 minutes long. It is better than any antidepressant. What they used to say about Mamma Mia, like throw away your antidepressants. Mamma Mia is the feel-good musical of the year. It wasn't, but I think
Mamma Mia
the Beat is amazing. Has any of you seen it by any chance?
There's a really fantastic moment in it where it goes from like 4 people to 10 people to 20 people, and then all of a sudden it breaks into like 300 people on screen at the same time, all singing, and it is just this joyful moment that I was singing right along at home. It was the feel-good moment of my week, definitely.
I'm kind of here for all of that because Hamilton was the first one to do it for a little girl, and I'm kind of here for all of these Broadway casts that are reuniting and doing these big numbers, and also not just that, but like nostalgic TV shows doing table reads and all these things that we're doing.
The Parks and Rec, yes.
It's so funny. Parks and Rec, The Nanny, like all of these shows are doing it, and it's really a good idea. I love it.
I know. It's cliche to say by now, but it's worth repeating. In times of darkness and trouble and woe and misery, it's the arts that help get us through. Obviously, let science work on the cure and the vaccine and respect them and follow that. But just to rally us, and what we fight for, part of our freedom and our expression is the beautiful music and the people and the memories. And anyway, I'm a cornball, but I love.
I agree. No corn.
We'll post the link to that on the WOW report. Let's go on to number 6, James.
Number 6.
Well, we go from I Know This Much Is True to Nothing Is Truer Than the Truth, which is a documentary that I watched on Hulu, and it was purports to say that Shakespeare did not write Shakespeare's, the oeuvre. And for hundreds of years, people have speculated about this. There is a group called the Marlovians who think that it was Christopher Marlowe. There's and Mark Twain and Helen Keller believe this. Sigmund Freud, they all used to write letters about this to each other.
Really? Why do you think that?
Well, I'll tell you, there's also people also think it was Ben Jonson or Francis Bacon or a woman named Mary Sidney. This one says that it was a wild child bisexual aristocrat named Thomas de Vere, Sir Thomas de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford. And the reason why people believe this is because Shakespeare grew up in Stratford-upon-Avon,
Yes.
and his parents were illiterate. He never left Stratford. He didn't go traveling. He didn't have an education. So how does he know the things that we would need to know to write things like Titus Andronicus, which was about the Persian Wars? How could he know any of these things if he didn't live the life? And this says that Thomas de Vere actually traveled to Padua and Verona and Venice and all these places, and would know. He grew up in a house that had one of the biggest private libraries in England at the time, and he later traveled to all these places. And in things like Romeo and Juliet, there was they would mention like a cherry orchard or a particular statue that, like, you couldn't just Google Verona, and find these things. Like, you actually had to go to these places and know these little tiny things. And I walked away from it thinking, well, hell yeah, it's totally.
But why why pick on William Shakespeare? Explain that.
Well, basically, it sort of falls apart a little bit near the end where they get to the why. But it was because he was this bisexual who lived this crazy life and was always sleeping with everybody at court. And he was just, he caused a lot of scandal. And so they said that he didn't want to bring scandal to his family by being the author. And so they had this whole setup whereas this William Shakespeare character would take credit for it, but it sort of fucked him in the end because he never got the glory that William Shakespeare got. But he didn't want at the time to be the author because he was living this crazy life.
You just said William Shakespeare character. Are they alluding, or are they insinuating that Shakespeare wasn't even a person?
No, they're saying that Shakespeare is a real person, just that he ended up taking credit. They ended up giving him credit for it at the time, and then it's sort of
Got it.
So what did he do? So what did Shakespeare do? Like, he just lapped it up, presumably, and just became like a pop star, like a front man of the band.
Well,
right?
that's it. Like they would put, throw it at the end of the play. He would walk out on stage and take, bow, but it really wasn't him who wrote it.
After seeing this documentary, do you think that he's also somewhat responsible for Carol Baskin killing her husband? Or...
Possible.
It's a sort of an interesting documentary, and it, like I said, it goes step by step through this guy's life, and everything he does matches up to what Shakespeare wrote about and everything like that. So I'm now convinced that it was Thomas de Vere.
All right. Nothing is True of a Truth is streaming on Amazon Prime. I'm going to do number 5.
Number 5.
The Great. Have you seen The Great?
Oh!
It's on Hulu. This is a mini series. Tom, Michelle, you've got to watch it. It is like everything I have ever seen in my freaking life. It's about Catherine the Great of Russia, the one who fucked the horse. But if you think that fucking the horse was the most outrageous thing, oh my God. We sat down to watch it with Nolan. Fuck start, and they just don't stop. And I was like, 5 minutes into this, I was thinking, is this appropriate? And then I thought, fuck it. They're fucking donkeys. They're fucking each other in court. It's like every kind of, and it's hilarious, right, James?
We got to say, Fenton, that it's written, directed, and produced by the guy who did The Favorite. And I don't know if you saw The Favorite.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, right there is your selling point.
Okay.
Yeah, and it stars Elle Fanning as Catherine the Great, and she is hysterical. It stars Nicholas Hoult, who I don't know if you remember from Skins, of course, Michelle. Yeah, so Nicholas Hoult is Peter the Great's son.
The son of Peter the Great. Yeah.
The son of Peter the Great. And he plays it like
insane.
He's insane. He plays it like a rock star trust fund brat who is just, he's always trying to kill Catherine. And that, we were talking, Fenton, about how much of it is true. I do remember that he tried to kill Catherine in a carriage accident, and she found out about it, and he had to abort the plan.
Because Catherine the Great, of course, created a coup and got rid of her husband. This really happened in history. 6 months into his reign, got rid of him and became Catherine the Great, the terror female leader of Russia who dragged it into the modern age. But every episode contains something so disgusting and physically gross, you cannot believe it, and hilarious at the same time. So, for example,
is this supposed to be like historically true?
No, it's an occasionally true story. His young bride down the halls of the palace, and he says, "There's someone I want you to meet." And they come to this big case, and you look in it, and it's
the corpse of a decaying corpse of his mother that he keeps in a case so he can say hello to her every day because he didn't want to bury her. Which I believe.
At one point, spoiler alert, they're having an orgy. Doesn't have anyone to fuck, so he goes off and he grabs the mother from the case.
No.
On the next, how's your head, hun?
On the next, how's your head, hun? I'll be digging up something to fuck. Is that what I'm saying?
You know, the
can I tell you that this is, if you enjoyed the favorite, this is a series that is just as fun as the favorite.
Oh, I can't.
The dialogue is so hysterical and so it's like modern dialogue with this, classical, story.
I have to take a moment to defend the reputation of Catherine the Great. I have read, I don't know, that, was it William Barr who said that history is written by the people that win? Mm-hmm. That a lot of these rumors about famous people, and including Catherine the Great, that she had sex with horses, was said by the people who defeated her. To totally ruin her reputation. And boy, it sticks, doesn't it?
That's one of the running jokes in the show is that history will not remember that. They keep saying, "Oh no, that will not be remembered. That will not be remembered." And also, there's a great scene with the King of Sweden in the King of Sweden's the Queen of Sweden, and the Queen of Sweden says to Catherine the Great, "Oh, I heard you fucked horses," and Catherine says that didn't happen. And the Queen says, "It doesn't matter. The first lie wins." Which is a very Trumpian thing to say because that's the first lie and that's the one that is going to stick throughout history.
Nicholas Hoult, who plays Peter, is very much a Trumpian figure of no talent, infinite vanity, complete malignant narcissist. I mean, it's but it's all very, very funny. There's a marvelous moment where they have a smallpox outbreak.
Oh, yeah.
They just round up all the serfs and burn them. Like, that's what we do. We just burn the servants.
That's interesting because the whole there's all this sort of a subplot about quarantining yourself and about inoculation. And because Catherine really was the first person to be inoculated for smallpox, she realized early on that you take the pus of somebody who is injected, who is doing it, you get it, and then you cut your hand open and you insert the pus into your blood, and that was the first smallpox vaccine. That was the first vaccine ever, and she had a scientist who explained that to her, and everyone kept saying, "You're going to die," and she didn't. And so that's one of those real things. But all this stuff about acceptable losses in deaths is something that we talk about now. I mean, there's so many relevant things in this that is
really good. And really funny. And the rudest thing afterwards, Nolan said to me, "Daddy, is that really how people have sex? In this series, you should not do."
Okay. Everything in the series you should not do.
Not daddy. You're a good daddy.
Yeah. I would love to see Nolan's face as all of this is unfolding because
no amount of front row seat Beyonce concerts can take away the scar of watching that movie at that age.
You have scarred him, that boy, in so many ways. I cannot wait to see the nightmare that he grows up to be.
Can I just add one thing that is scientifically, historically true? Catherine the Great invented the roller coaster.
What? She was a fascinating woman.
Yeah. Blake, let's take a question. Let's go to break.
It is this supermodel's 50th birthday. Who is she?
It's not Michelle. Okay, I'll think.
Supermodel.
I think I know.
On Radio Andy, we'll be right back with the answer after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report with our very special guest, Michelle Visage.
Hi.
Star of How's Your Head, Hun?
Yes.
BBC3 and WOW Presents. By the way, also coming on WOW Presents is season 2 of Werq The World, the series where we follow the queens on the tour as they go around the world performing Aquaria, Asia, Detox, Cameron Michaels, Manex, Naomi Small, Plastique, Tiara, Vanjie, Evie Oddly. That's coming on June 2nd. Okay.
Wait a minute. Did that you must have just by the skin of your teeth gotten that filmed before lockdown, right?
This is a time before COVID. Absolutely.
Huh. Okay, Blake.
I asked Today is this supermodel's 50th birthday. Who is it?
I thought it was Naomi Campbell, but I think. Oh, was I right?
I think it's Naomi Campbell.
I think it's Linda. Oh no, okay, it's Naomi. Okay.
But
Naomi
she's a
Campbell.
Gemini. Isn't she a Gemini?
I don't know, but today's her birthday.
We're Gemini time.
We are? I thought we were still in Taurus.
No, my sister's a Gemini, and she has her birthday in 5 days.
Oh, well, 5 days is different, isn't it?
Stop it.
All right, we're down to top 10 things that make us go, wow. We've reached number 4. Tom.
Number 4.
Question for the group. We're talking about all this, like, kind of forever iconic programming that's happening right now. Like, all the networks are broadcasting certain things at the same time. There's been the Disney sing-alongs. There's been all this. This past Sunday evening, I feel like the whole world sat around their television and watched this, like, virtual commencement graduation for all the kids. And there's a lot to talk about it, but the number one highlight for me, and what sort of infused this whole week with hope, is that President Barack Obama gave a commencement speech that was articulate and heartfelt and humble and not too long, because he used to be talked too much. But it was this amazing moment, this amazing contrast. Because I'm what I am, I watched it on Fox, because yes, even Fox News had to broadcast this, and it was the artist Her, the Jonas Brothers. It was some wonderful guy from Evan Hansen. I can't remember his name.
Ben Platt.
Ben Platt sang, and it's just like it was this incredible poster of what's right about America. Again, the arts and liberal thinking and hope and articulation of spirit, and it was blasted across the country. I have not been paying attention to what the right has been saying about it.
Well,
but
let me tell you what the right has been saying about.
Yes.
Let me tell you what they've been saying, because on Fox News, I went over to Fox News and I was watching Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and everybody, and they all kept saying, "Oh, Obama, he looks tired, doesn't he? He looks terrible. Oh, he just looks like he's really rattled. It looks like Trump has really gotten inside of his brain." And it was like anything could not be farther from the truth.
It was so inspiring having a kid who's graduating in the house and missing out on things like graduation and prom. It was really inspiring, and it almost brought me to tears, because I miss that leadership.
Yeah.
I miss that care for this country, and we've become a country that is unrecognizable to me, and it's very, very odd. So, I sat there and watched it, and thought about the kids that don't get to graduate. And I know there's horrible things going on in the world, and this is small potatoes, but in this house, these kids have, they did everything they had to do to get to this point. And our graduation for Lola, I'm not kidding, is scheduled from 11:32 to 11:34 in a one-way thing. We have to, if we're not in place to take her picture, we miss it.
Oh God.
Yeah. So it was nice to have something like that acknowledge these kids that are under lockdown, because my lawn sign is not going to do it alone. So
No.
And so much of the economy and it comes from psychology, right? That comes from us feeling safe and feeling unified and feeling on the same page. How Trump apologists, people on my Facebook page, can continue to go bend over backwards to be circus contortionists in order to defend him blows my mind. It's just like, just the quality. There's this other thing that's happening where I don't know how much it's true. I haven't been researching it, but like they're saying that Trump does not want to unveil the presidential and first lady portraits,
right?
Which has been happening for 40 years. And I went online. I put on my post pictures of the Obamas with Bushes doing, with Bush with the Clintons, with Clinton with the George H. Bush. It's like, just to see what's beautiful about America is when we have those bipartisan moments, which don't mean everything goes away. It doesn't mean things are perfect and now they're horrible. It means people tried. There was an attempt to unify United States of America. Hello, I'm sorry, I'm preaching. I'll stop.
No. I think it's you don't have to stop. I think it's fair. I think we're all on this side. You know, I say this on How's Your Head Hunt a lot, and I'm going to say it now. The more creatives that I talk to, people like us, like-minded people who are not, you know, per se business people that sit down and do crunch numbers, and lawyers and things like that. Creative types are the ones that are struggling the most through this, because we feel like our wheels are spinning in mud because live performing's not there. Going out and social butterflying isn't there. Just everything we're used to is no longer there. So a lot of us are spinning our wheels. So to have these moments of a president that cared, at least you feel like he cared, he did care, Obama, lifts the veil for at least a half an hour. You know what I mean? And that helps the spirit. So you can preach all you want. You're right.
One of the things a female Fox reporter said that Obama needed to work harder on his writing.
Really, girl.
But you've said it before, Fenton. It's all the right attack on the left is just to accuse everybody of what they are guilty of.
Yeah.
It's so effective, blows my mind.
It happens in therapy too. You know that when you start doing that, it's just a reflection of what you are suffering from or what you are going through. So
You point a finger, and there are three pointing back at you. Hi.
Thank you.
All right, let's go into number 3, James.
Number 3.
I have been deeply involved in season 2 of Harlequin on DC Universe.
Bless you.
We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic series. It stars Kaylee Cuoco as Harley Quinn, and Lake Bell is her best friend Poison Ivy, who controls all the plants. And they're villains. They're super villains. And they're trying to take over all Batman's super villains. They're trying to take over the super villain scene.
Oh,
it also stars Christopher Maloney is Commissioner Gordon, Jason Alexander, Giancarlo Esposito, Frankie Muniz, Rachel Dratch, Wanda Sykes, Alfred Molina, Rhea Perlman. The cast is spectacular.
Oh, so it's funny too.
It's hysterical. It is so good. And throughout the first season, Harley Quinn was trying to get over her relationship with the Joker, and that was very poisonous, and it was very negative, and he was very abusive to her. And so it's a lot about a woman finding her own voice and finding her own place outside of a relationship with a man. And season 2 is basically Poison Ivy, who is a supervillain, but she falls in love with a D-list villain named Kite Man, who flies around on a giant kite. And every
D-list villain, I love it.
He's very D-list. Everyone rolls their eyes whenever he comes around.
Oh, poor Kite Man.
Poor Kite Man. He's sort of a douchebag. He's sort of a bro. But she really develops feelings for him, and they really fall in love. And everyone is sort of like looking down on Ivy for that. But you begin to realize that the real relationship in the show is between Ivy and Harley Quinn. And they get closer and closer and closer. And you start to realize that they really are in love. And they need to, you're building towards the two of them having a relationship. And
our sapphic little twist.
Yes. And near the end, something happens that throws them together, and they have this aha moment where they look into each other's eyes, and you jump out of your seat. You're screaming, yes, yes, yes. It's so beautifully done. It is so wonderful. And it's such a great message for kids who you see that they really are finding each other. In the comic books, it was for years and years and years, it was sort of whispered that they were lovers. But then in the Trump era, the comic books have backed away from that because everyone has gotten so conservative, and that's no. So it's really a nice thing for this show to be exploring this great, love affair that the two of them have.
I think David would love that.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's so funny, and all the villains. There's like Bane, who is just, the Riddler and Two-Face, they're all there, but they all have these like weird, quirky little day jobs that they have in their like secret identity. It's just stuff you've never seen before. It's so funny. It's so good. I can't talk about it enough.
On DC Universe, which is one of the sort of lesser, as a platform, it gets less attention than your Netflix and your Hulu, I suppose, obviously, but it's pretty great. You made me subscribe to it, James, and I just love it. DC Universe. Okay, number 2.
Number 2.
Have you seen a documentary called Spaceship Earth?
No.
There was Biosphere, where these people locked themselves in a giant greenhouse for years.
No.
And they literally went in, it was in the Arizona desert. They went and locked themselves up, and it was a sort of biological experiment. They were completely cut off from daily life, and they were trying to imagine what life would be like living in outer space. This is a documentary about that experiment. Crazy thing, it was a cult. They were basically a cult that began in the 60s in San Francisco, where they all seem to begin. And they like normally everybody kills each other, or just normally very badly, right? This cult, they built a ship and they sailed around the world. I mean, and then they built a hotel in Kathmandu, and they did all this stuff. The weird thing about the cult is that, most cults also, they always need money. Well, they had a back in the form of Ed Bass, who's like a billionaire of a billionaire family. So they always had tons and tons of money. And they built this giant greenhouse, and they went and lived in it for 2 years. Of course, it all went wrong, because you can't live in a greenhouse for 2 years without food from the outside and oxygen and things like that. And
going absolutely batshit crazy, as we've learned in quarantine.
And hating on each other and picking fights. And then one of them really injured themselves, so they had to be taken out. And when they came back in, they imported some 2 bags of goodies and food, because after a while they were starving. And that's where a lot of the low-cal diet idea, that if you take low calories, you'll live for hundreds of years. That's that. Other thing was they were running out of oxygen. So they were literally suffocating. So they cheated, and it was a big press. I'm surprised it was called Biosphere too. And it was
I have some memory of it now that you're ticking it off. Yes.
I thought Biosphere was a movie with Pauly Shore.
Very similar.
You almost knew it was going to go wrong from the beginning, because when they tried to close the doors, sealing them off from the outside world, the door wouldn't close. And there's this moment they try to close, and they couldn't get it closed. So that's Spaceship Earth by Matt Wolf. It's streamed on Hulu, and it's kind of cool. All right. Now we have to take a quick break. Michelle, I think you have to leave us, love.
I do. I'm so sorry, but I love you so much.
We're going to talk about you while you're gone.
Please do.
Again, this thing, Michelle, watching the men, your husband and your daughter's boyfriend, you're living in a thirst trap, Michelle.
I do it on purpose. I angle it this way on purpose.
Well, thank you for joining us. We love you, and we can't wait to see you.
I love you, kids. Thank you for supporting me always.
How's your head on? Premieres Tuesday. WOWPresents Plus and BBC 3.
Stay safe.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Jez and Tom and Blake. Reveal the number one thing that made us go wow this week. What is it?
Number 1.
Okay, this is a skosh self-serving, but this is a time we were watching more than ever. We talked about some depressing shows, some long-term investments. We have, I think, at least 3 things coming up on WOWPresents Plus, which is our streaming service, which costs $3.99 a month, less than the cost of a latte still.
Wow-presents.com.
Yes, WOWPresents Plus. And help me with the dates, but we do have, we mentioned Michelle's gone, but her new sort of reality / talk show shot from her home and homes of lots of celebrities is premiering Tuesday on BBC 3 if you're listening to us from the UK, or the rest of the world, you can watch it on WOWPresents Plus. And that's this coming Tuesday. Look for it. It's amazing. Second, we've done RuPaul's Drag Race for 12 seasons. We've done a season of RuPaul's Drag Race UK in Thailand. And now we're doing the first ever Drag Race Canada. And that premieres on WOWPresents Plus July 2nd. If you're in Canada, it's on Crave. If you're listening to us from Canada, watch it on Crave. It's amazing. RuPaul checks in. Michelle's a guest star, but it's a new judging panel, and it's really exciting and uniquely Canadian. And it's Brooklyn Heights, who is from season 11, finalist, who is a Canadian queen. And then we have Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, and just you need to watch. It's fantastic. It's so amazing. If you love the UK, if you've seen Thailand, it's the same show you love with the same stakes at heart, but Canadian queens, the queens always make it unique. and delicious. And last but not least, and I'm doing all the talking, I'm sorry, is Werq The World. Oh, we're almost there, James. Werq The World, which is on exclusively anywhere in the world on the WoW Presents Plus. And it's the second season, and we send out the most amazing filmmaker. Jasper did this too, right? To follow the queens when they're on the Werq The World tour. The most important part to take away is Werq is spelled W-E-R-Q, which I think is really important today. But it's this kind of unprecedented, it's like a great concert film. It's like Woodstock concert, the Rolling Stone concert, but it's our queens, and it's on stage behind the scenes. And listen, there's a lot of queen content. They're very forthright in sharing on Instagram, but there's nothing like the sort of objective eye of the camera capturing what's really happening. It's fascinating, and it's you can watch one, you can binge them all. It's really fun to watch. And I think, James, if I'm not correct, those three things are the most important, fun to watch things coming out on WoW. James just okay. That was a lead-in for James.
But James is he's gone.
All right.
James St. James is
transformation. James has been doing, he's I think one of the first WoW Presents Plus shows that we ever did. And James, if you haven't seen it, it's fascinating. And if you haven't seen it, shame on you. But he has worked with some of the most expressive, over-the-top, talented makeup artists from around the world, drag and beyond. And now you're back. Hello, James. We're just talking about your first
still last, James.
Your transformations on WoW Presents Plus is like the I Love Lucy of WoW Presents Plus. It is one of the first shows, one of the best shows, iconic, and it holds up year after year, season after season. And James is our Vivian Vance. No, he's our Lucy. And James, tell us what's different during these COVID times of how you've been producing transformation in this new world.
Well, we had filmed a bunch of episodes before we went into lockdown. So we have episodes with the great Juno Birch. I don't know if you know Juno Birch from Manchester, a really spectacular queen. We have Muffy, who is one of Suzanne Barsh's people, who's really great. We have who else? We have a bunch of we have about 4 or 5 episodes in the can, so we're rolling them all out during the month of March. It starts on WoW Presents Plus, and then 2 weeks later it goes on to YouTube. So this week the Juno Birch goes on to YouTube. So I think you should just spend a little time watching that. It's really fun. They're really great episodes.
For lockdown, you've been doing it in a slightly different way too. You've been doing episodes from lockdown. How have you been doing those?
Well, we did the Stay the Fuck Home editions of lots of different shows on WoW Presents Plus, where we sort of it's not so much transformations. We're just sort of checking in on some of our favorite transformations from the past. We're seeing how they're doing. And then we sort of, instead of them doing makeup on me, they do it on themselves and sort of walk their way through. We walk through it, and they show us one little thing that they're known for. And that's what we've been doing. So we haven't had a chance to be doing those lately because that series has ended. But we do have these new episodes that we had previously in the can.
But it's all there and more on YouTube. WoW Presents, our free YouTube channel, and WoW Presents Plus, and so much content. What I love about James' show is the discovery. It's like if you're in the know, you know these people. For the most part, I don't, but I'm always meeting and learning new people who then pop up in all these other arenas in life. So, James, your finger is where? On the pulse.
Well, it's not just a makeup show. You get to talk to these people and know their stories and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. I always said that it's not so much a makeup tutorial as it is just a talk show where we find these fun people and we give them something to do, which sort of loosens them up and they open up about themselves in many interesting ways.
James loosens them up because his finger is where? On the pulse.
Thanks for listening to the WoW Report. Thank you, James. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Blake. And of course, thank you to Michelle Visage. We will
always a pleasure.
Same time, same place next week. Until then, stay home and do something that makes the world go
wow. And congratulations to James for doing the first digital storm off of the season. Love you all. Bye.